We might buy this house as is for $425,000, which is expensive considering that it needs a new roof, among other things. As house flippers, we put hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line to take a house from rundown property to luxury home. And the way we balance risk on each deal is by identifying the major red flags, because one overlooked repair can mean thousands of dollars down the drain. In this video, we're going to show you the inside of this fixer-upper to see if the red flags are a deal maker or deal breaker. Are we going to spend over $400,000 to buy this house? What, if any, red flags are there? Let's find out.
Today, I was driving around, doing what I do, checking in on projects, and then Jeff, obviously my brother, sent me this deal here in Raleigh. Come take a look, basically, so that we could submit an offer, come up with like a rehab budget, what will we do to it to make it look like the comps, and then help so that we can finalize an offer for the seller. So this property has been sitting on the market for a little bit, and it's dated, but it's in a great location. So, we're always looking for these kinds of properties, and we're gonna submit an offer on it. Hopefully we win it. If not, on to the next. I think they're asking $425. Stick around for what we will potentially submit an offer for at the end of the video. So it's important to make sure you're always walking properties before you put them on a contract, even if you have really good pictures, because trust me, pictures can be so deceiving. They will leave out things that they don't want you to see, leave out any issues obviously in the pictures, and the pictures are always edited, so it doesn't usually look as good in person than it does in the pictures. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 red flags when you're purchasing a property and what to look out for. So on our past deal that's actually still under contract right now in Durham, we did not do an inspection, and we missed the fact that one of the joists wasn't in the best condition, and we missed that up front. Thankfully, obviously, due to negotiations, we're able to work that out with the seller or the buyer, but this can definitely cost you a lot of money in the future, and so that's just something that we've missed in the past. So anything foundation slash flooring, subfloor joists, they might look fine, but you always want to check underneath and get an inspection just to make sure. Keeping the door there, but putting an island here, putting the stove there, dishwasher and sink in the island. Typically, we always like to walk the deals before buying and or going under contract with our contractor or a contractor, just in general. Today, obviously, like I said, I was, out and about doing what I do, checking up on projects, and then Jeff sent me this deal.
By the way, this guy here is our friend Billy. He's not our contractor. He's a real estate agent and the founder of the Phase Group. An agent is an essential part of any successful real estate team.
This is a very clean deal, so it's not like there's probably going to be any structural work or anything, and we'll still get an inspection before closing. But we always try our best to walk it with our contractor. And the reason for that is so that they can take a look at everything and make sure that, things are good structurally, but also make sure that our vision is possible for the most part, right? Until you start opening up walls, you won't know if you can take them out or whatever, but also to get a budget or an estimate roughly so that we can submit a solid offer. You might be thinking, why would a contractor waste their time on a property that's not under contract and go out and give an estimate? Now, a lot of contractors are obviously really busy, but the way that they generate new business for their business, which is being a contractor, is to go out and see properties and give estimates so that way they can get, a project and you can work with them. So typically contractors are willing to go out and give an estimate and walk it with you, especially if you've done multiple deals with this contractor. They'll actually work around you and tend to go with your schedule. Contractors that you've never worked with or we've never worked with, they tend, I wouldn't say that they don't necessarily give us the time of day, but we're not necessarily a priority. So obviously when we build a relationship with a contractor, then they know we actually get deals, and that's how they make their money. So that's why they'd be willing to do that. Whenever I'm walking a property to take a look, we're looking at the roof, the HVAC, any structural, any flooring problems. So is it slanted? Is it caving in? Trust me, I've seen properties that are caving in. But besides the obvious things, I'm also looking at the flow of the property, right? So this property, you walk in through there, and when you come in, and it's a little dark in here, so I apologize for the lighting, but when you come in, you see this big wall here. So nowadays, people like to see open floor plans. So my thought is always, how can I make this flow better or look better, more appealing? I'm always knocking walls out, and I also like adding, just different designs, whether it's accent walls or cool floating vanities or designs on the tile shower, just something to make it a little bit different and not so cookie cutter compared to other properties that might be on the market when you go to sell. But those are just things you look at. Like I said, the obvious things: roof, HVAC, flooring, any holes in the ceiling can indicate there's leaks, things of that nature. And then anything that looks like it's not supposed to look the way it looks. Red flag number 2, guys, foundation. This is another thing that is easily overlooked, but can cost a lot of money. Sometimes you'll see cracks in the brick, and a lot of times this will be due to just normal settling. These houses have been here for 40, 50 plus years, so the dirt obviously is going to settle, meaning that the foundation and the house itself is going to settle. But sometimes the foundation itself is becoming weaker. It's bad, so you might need to fix it. In some cases, this can be very minor, and you probably can get away with not even fixing it or whatever. In a lot of cases, it could also be very major. I've seen houses that have floors that were literally corners of houses just falling apart because the foundation was so bad. In that scenario, that's a red flag, and that can cost you thousands of dollars, so don't overlook it. The house that we're looking at today, after taking a look, I haven't seen any cracks, so I think that the foundation is good. Is the crawl space. Now I know that this door looks pretty bad, but most of the times that we're buying these properties, the crawl space is super dirty. There's insulation everywhere. It's sometimes wet. There's no vapor barrier, but on this one we have vapor barrier. All the insulation is well kept up there. It's not wet. Plumbing looks fine. There doesn't seem to be any leaks. So for this property specifically, everything is clean and good. But this is a red flag. If you take a look at the crawl space and it's nasty looking, it maybe smells, it's wet, there's insulation everywhere, that's a red flag. You just need to take a look. Red flag number 4, we can change the HVAC system, but it does cost a lot of money. So make sure that you're always checking. This unit here is not the newest unit, but it doesn't look like it's old. It seems like it's been decently maintained. The ducts underneath the house, they look fine. For the most part, everything looks good. But again, if you're replacing the whole system, this can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So you always want to make sure you get this checked, whether it's the outside unit, inside unit, the ducts, everything. Usually you can see, but there's a sticker on it usually that tells you the date, but you can usually tell. I mean, it's either old or it's newer. And this one is not like a new one, but it looks like it's working. Usually you'll see some that it looks like it hasn't been working a lot, or what will happen is you'll see an HVAC unit in a whole system, but you'll see AC units in the window, and that's a good sign of obviously there being no AC working from this unit. If it's working inside, it should either be cold in the summer and then hotter inside in the winter. Red flag number 5, termites. This one gets overlooked so much. You can be very lucky and not have any termites, and honestly it's not as common to have termites, but if you have termites and they're bad, you might have to reframe the whole house or part of the house or whatever a part that they destroyed. So basically they'll go in and attack any wood and they'll eat it, and then the wood it'll turn to like dust. It'll be so soft that when you touch it, it'll like turn to dust.
Brittle?
Very brittle, rotten pretty much. The best way of checking to see if there is any termites is just having a termite inspection. But sometimes on the outside, like I said, the siding, sometimes you can see if it's wood siding. Porches underneath the house, like in decks and stuff, you can see them or signs of them. And then obviously getting a termite inspection, always recommend that every single time you're buying a house, because you never know. Red flag number 6, roof. Guys, we always try to make sure that the roof is either in good condition or that we know we're going to change the roof and factor that into our budget. Changing a roof is not cheap. Depending on the square footage, you can spend anywhere from 5 to 14 or 12,000 at the very minimum. 5 if it's a smaller house. If it's good, there's no leaks, good. If not, make sure you know that you're already going to change it. That way you have it factored in already. We're going to have to change this roof for sure because it's really old looking. It's falling apart on the edges. There are certain locations, and I don't know why it depends on this, but in certain markets that we've looked in, we'll see a 1950s house and the foundation will be absolutely destroyed, and in other markets they will be, fine. So obviously 1950s, it is an older house, I know that, but I think it depends on the kind of structure and how the developer built those houses. If they were built well, they won't be falling apart, and if they weren't, then they're probably falling apart. As far as vintage wise, we try to stay away from anything older than 1960s because that's when you're starting to see houses that, especially if they're dated and they're just selling it as is, you're going to need to do electrical, plumbing, potentially some subfloor joist repairs, just a whole bunch more work than newer properties, and that's just a given. After taking a look at this whole property entirely, we liked it. I mean, it didn't necessarily have any red flags per se. So we're gonna go ahead and submit an offer. It's gonna be a lowball offer. So if the seller accepts it, good. If not, on to the next. So
we ended up submitting an offer way below what the seller was asking for, and it was rejected. But it's okay. There's more deals where this one came from.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, please comment, share, subscribe.